Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. I'm Shubham and you're watching Let Quit an App. So in this video, we will create one drawing application in which user can draw on the screen, and even he can change the color, change the opacity, and even we can save the photo whatever we have drawn on the screen. So we will cover all this topic in this video. So that's the reason this video is quite a bit long. And if you want to learn all these things, please watch the video completely. And so let's look into the demo first, and then we will see how we can create this kind of application. So this is the drawing application. Let's click on this thing, and as we click on this thing, this looks something like this, in which we are having this animation as well as these are the colors. And this is a download button, this is the undo button if you want to remove any line which we have drawn, and this is a clear button, this is a opacity slider, sorry, this is a size slider, the stroke size, and this is a opacity slider. So now let's choose one color, like this is a red color. By default color it's a black. And now let's increase the size of this stroke. So as we increase the size, the size will change. And now let's change the color, and we can do choose any of the color, even we can add more colors up to us. So let's remove this thing. So the as we do the undo thing, it will remove the last drawn line. And now let's increase more size and reduce the opacity. So let's take this color, and it's look something like this. Now let's increase the opacity, so like this. Now if we want to clear all the thing on the screen, then we can press this button, so it will remove all the things on the screen. And now let's draw again some other things, something like this. And if we want to save this thing, then we have to press on this save button, and as we click on this press on this button, it will save the image. Now let's move on the photo, and let's see that we get this image over there. So this is the last image which we have drawn on the screen. So this is over here. So we will cover all these topics in this video. So if you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, and if you have any query or suggestion, please post that thing in the comment box. And if you are new to the channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to get the notifications of all my other videos. So let's start the video. Let's create an app. Xcode, click on single view application, click on next, and give the whatever name you want to give. I'm just giving drawing app, and be sure that user interface should be storyboard, not Swift UI if you are using an Xcode 11. And just click on next and create this project where I want to create. I'm creating this project on my desktop. So we have just created a simple project. Now first we are going to create the bottom layout first, which we have seen in the demo. So let's look into the demo again. So this is the demo, and we are going to create this thing first, and then we will proceed further in the functionality. And if you have any issue while drawing this thing, let me know in the comment section. I will help you out. So let me first draw this thing quickly so that we can proceed further in the drawing functionality. I have just designed the bottom layout. Now let's create the outlet of all these things. So this is collection view, this is save button, this is undo button, this is clear button, and this is the size of the brush, and this is the slider of opacity. So now let's quickly move on the view controller and take the outlets of all these things. So let's move on the view controller via this, and the Xcode is quite new, so I'm not comfortable with this thing right now, but soon as I will work, I will get comfortable with this. Now let's take the outlet of this collection view first. So simply write collection view, and we need to take the actions of all these things. We don't need to take any outlets for these buttons, so simply take the actions. On click save, on click undo, on click clear, like this. And this is on click brush size, and this is on click opacity, like this. Now let's give the one space to each and every, like this. So now first we need to implement the collection view. So for that, just create an extension, and in this as you always know, we always use extension for creating any kind of, or implementing any kind of data source and delegate, because this is one of the good practice. Data source, like this. And now we need to create the methods of UI collection view, like this. So these are the two methods, number of items and sections. So for that, we need to create one array at the top over here, like where items, and these items is a type of a UI color, array of UI color like this. So I've just already copied the array, so just copying the array of UI colors over here, and now we need to return the counts of UI color over here, items dot count like this. Now we need to create one cell over here, so let cell equals to collection view dot dq, this one, and in this we need to pass the name of the cell. So we have just seen the in the hierarchy that the name of the cell is cell, so I'll just simply pass that thing over here. Now we need to give the index path, so simply pass index path over here, and now we need to get the view, so just give me a minute. So in this cell we are having a view which I just provided a red color, so we can get this view via the tags. So let's check that what is the tag of this view. So the tag of this view is 111, so we can simply get this view via tag method. So cell dot view with tag, there is one method view with tag, and we need to typecast this thing if, or we need to check for if else condition, if let view is equals to, and the tag is 111, and if this view as UI view like this, and if this is a true statement, means the we find a view with 111 tag, then this will return true, and we have to set the background color of this view. So view dot background color is equals to items index path dot true like this, and we also need to set the corner radius dot layer dot corner radius is equals to 3 like this. Now we simply return this cell, return cell like this. So we need to create this thing, and let's build this thing. So there is no issue, it's showing an optional binding, so there is no issue like that. Now let's run this thing and check that it is working fine or not. So before running, we also need to provide the data source and delegate to this collection view. So collection view dot delegate equals to self, and collection view, so data source is equals to self. Now let's run this thing and check that it is working fine or not. So let's play this thing. So this is the thing which we have get over here like this, and we will not do anything right now. We only create this collection view and populate the data. So let's look forward how we can create the drawing functionality. So now we need to create one canvas class which is kind of a UI view, and that class is responsible for all the drawing part which we have seen in the demo part. So let's create one class, and just click on this name, and select a Swift file and give the name as canvas view, something like this, and just remove this thing. And by default this class something looks like something like this, and we need to change this import foundation to import UI kit, because foundation is already in UI kit part, and we need some things of UI kit in this class. So now we need to use that method, just something like touch begin, touch moved, draw, these kind of methods to draw something on this view. And for that we need to create one struct in which we define some properties, and these properties help us to draw the lines and different color lines over here. So let's look how we can create that struct. So simply write struct over here, and the name of the struct should be like it's up to you, you can give any name. I'm using touch point and color. So because this struct provided points as well as colors to the methods, so that's why I just choose this name. In this we need to define 4 properties, and the first property is color, and that is of UI color type, and this should be optional. And next property should be like and this is a width of a stroke, so it's of CG float type, CG float. And the next property is like opacity. So whatever things we have defined in the UI part, we have to define all the things over here also. So this is of CG point type, simply CG float type, CG float type. And the last property is like points which are going to see in the screen. So this is an array of CG point, because we also providing a functionality of undo the things. So we need to take an array of CG points what is drawing on the screen. So now we need to init all these things. So simply create a simple init, and this is of color. So we need to define the color, UI color, like this, and points, it is a CG point type, CG points, CG point type, like this, and this is done. Now we need to define the properties in all these things. I'm not defining a width and the opacity in this init because I don't need that thing. We will see why we didn't define these things over here. So simply like color and self dot points equals to points. So now we have defined we have created this struct. Now we move forward to creating the draw method, touch begin method, and touch move method. Now we need to create one class, and that is of a UI view type. So simply write class canvas view, we should be capital canvas view, and it is of UI view type. So this class is responsible for all the drawing part, and we are having different methods in this class, just like a touch begin, touch moves. So we are using these methods to draw anything on that canvas, or we can say that UI view. So first we have to create one property that is of lines, and these properties used to draw all the lines, and it is of a property of a struct type which we have provided over at the top. So this is of something like this. Now let's create one method that is a touch begin, or we can say that inherit that method, that is touch begin this one. And in this we have to append something in this line like this, and we have to append one empty object of this touch class. So let's append an empty object, and it is of UI color. We are not having any color right now, so simply append the empty objects of these things, and this is something like this. Now we need to create one more method, or we can say that we have to use another method, that is touch moves, this one. So this method is providing all the parameters, or we can say that all the properties to the line. So just simply first get the points, or we can say that touches. So touch equals to touches dot location, dot first dot location, this one, and in this nil because it's a self thing, and in this we have to simply return the thing. Now we have to get the last point of these line array. So guard where last point is equals to lines dot pop last. So via this method we will get the last point, and in the else part we need to simply return the thing like this. So this is the last point on which user have tapped, or we can say that user have moved. So in this we have to append the things. So, or we can say that we have to provide the point properties to this last point. So last point dot points, and it is an array of CG points, so we need to append all the points in this array, simply like touch, and we need to provide all the things just like color, because all the points should be of the same color till the user moved his finger up, or we can say that end the touch. So in the color, simply I'm using a red color in the initial point, and last point dot width. So I'm using a width just like 5, last point dot opacity. So these are the properties which we will pass from the previous controller to this controller when we set these things. So this is 0 point, or we can say that 1.0, initially it is 1.0. Now we need to append this last point in the lines method. So simply write lines dot append, and in this we have to append this last point like this. Now we need to call one method, that is a draw method, which is responsible for drawing everything on the UI view. So simply just override the draw method, simply write draw, and it is prompting all these methods. So we need to use this method, this cgrect one, and now we need to call the super.draw, this one, and in this we need to call this rect like this. So now we have to put some logic over here so that we can draw the things on the screen. So simply first we need to create the context. So simply write guard let context is equals to UI graphics get current context UI graphics get current context, this one, else we will simply return this thing if it is not available. Now we need to iterate the lines array so that we can draw things via using this line variable. So simply write lines dot for each. I'm using a for each loop like this, and just simply uh, press enter, and in the lines we need to again create a for loop so that we can iterate these points, array of points. So for that simply write for, and I'm using a tuple for this thing, I comma p. I stands for index, p stands for points in, and in this we need to get the array of the cg point dot points like this. So I'm using this tuple, so we need to enumerate this thing dot enumeration, enumerated like this, and you need to forcefully cast this thing. So we are doing this thing, we will get a index as well as we will get a points. Now we need to identify that when we have to add the lines and when we have to move to the point. So the move method is used to move on the specific position, and add line is used to add the points, or we can say that a chain. So just simply write context dot move. So first we have to identify that we are at the index 0. So if I is equals to 0, then this, else this. So now context dot move, so the point is p, and in this context dot add line, this one, and in the points is p. So if the user has just starting the line, so the first point moves over here, so it will automatically move the user at that point, and when user start moving his finger, then this method will call and he will add the lines from the last point which user left. So now let's set the stroke, context dot set stroke color, and the stroke color should be like, now we have just simply added the line but we didn't set the color and opacity of this line. So for that we need to set the color and opacity for this line. So dot set stroke color. So for that simply write line dot color dot with alpha, so that we can set the opacity at the same time, line dot opacity like this. And I guess it will show in an error because these things are an optional, and these are not optional thing. It will not take an option as an optional. So simply we need to provide 1.0 as an optional value, and this parameter is a color parameter, so we need to provide a cg color, I guess cg color like this, simply like this. So now let's build this thing, and it is again showing an error that it is an optional thing, so we need to provide again optional value. So over here we have to provide or simply like black color. If nothing is possible, it is not taking, so simply write UI color dot black dot cg color like this. And one more thing we need to provide, and that is a width. So for that simply write context dot set line width, set line cap. We need to provide the thing after some time, set line width, this one, and we have to provide a line dot width, and the default is 1.0. This is all done. Now we need to set the end point and starting point of a line, so that how the line will look like. So for that context dot set line cap, this one, and this should be of round like this, and context dot stroke path. By this method this will create a stroke path, or we can say that all the path which from which user have moved on. So now this is completed. Now we need to call this method draw. From this, whenever user moving, this method will call and create the lines. So for that we need to call one method, and that is need display, I guess. set need display, yeah, set need display, set need display, this one. So whenever all these things done, this will this method will call, and this method will call directly this method draw method, and all the work will done. So now let's run this thing and check that it is working fine or not. So for that we need to create one canvas view on the storyboard first. So just simply take UI view like this, and simply just take drag and drop UI view over here like this, and just give the basic constraints to this view. From all the four sides it should be 0 like this, and we need to provide one class to this view, that is a canvas view class. Canvas view class. Now let's create the outlet of this class. So simply like this, canvas view like this, and it is prompting an error that could not insert. Okay, let me try one more time. Sometimes this error occur. This is done. Now let's run this thing and check that it is working fine or not, and it is running the things with the default value, just like 1.0 and black color. So let's look this thing, and then we will see how we can create rest of the things, just like a selected color line and changing the value of the brush or opacity. It's totally up to us. So let's look. So this is just working fine. Now let's uh, draw something, and as we are drawing something on the screen, it is completely drawing, but we are unable to change the color because these things are default. The line width, the color, all the things are default. Now let's look how we can create the functionalities of all these things, and how we can make these things also working. So let's look this thing, and for that just move on the this controller. If first we need to move on the canvas view, so that we can create the default properties over there. So we will create some properties over here, so that we can pass these properties from the previous controller over here. So for that first we have to take the width of the line. So for that simply type stroke width like this, and this is of CG float type, CG float type like this, and the default value is always 1.0. Now we need to define the stroke color. So where stroke color, and this is of UI color type like this, and it is always dot black like this. And the next thing is stroke opacity. Stroke opacity, oh, should be capital like this, and this is also of CG float type like this, and it is always 1.0. So these are the default values which we have provided. Now we have default values provided over here. So now let's change these things to stroke color, stroke width, and this is stroke property, stroke opacity like this. Now we need to provide these things from the previous controller. So just move on the previous controller, and let's use this brush size thing. So for that we have to simply use, now whenever user change the value of that brush size or opacity, these methods will be called. So we need to change this any to UI slider. So we will get the values of UI slider over here like this. Now we need to just access the property which is in the canvas view. So canvas view dot stroke width. So definitely brush size is always stroke width, so it's like CG float, and we need to send the sender dot value like this. So same we have to do this for this also. Canvas view dot stroke opacity like this, and it is of CG float, and we have to send the sender dot value. So whatever value user select in on the UI, those values will pass in these opacity values, and they will adjust according to its own. Now we need to create the method of this undo and clear. So we need to create these methods over here. So we have to write these methods over here. So just give some space, and now let's write these methods. So simply we need to type clear canvas view. We need to create one function clear canvas view like this, and in this we need to remove all the points of the line. So lines dot remove all, that we need to simply use this method, and we need to call that method set needs display, so it will automatically call the this draw method and remove all the points. So one more method we need to call, and that is undo method. So we need to simply use function, and you can create this method according to your own need, or you can give any name to this method, but I'm simply using undo draw like this. And in this we need to check if the count is greater than 0, if lines dot count, otherwise application will get crashed. If the count is 0, if the count is 0 lesser than 0, because if we clear the canvas and then we will again click on that clear button, then definitely app will be crash. So lines dot remove last, and again we need to call the set need display method, so that the UI view will get update. So this is the basic functionality. Now we need to call this method via this undo method. So canvas view dot undo, I guess undo draw, this one, and in this canvas view dot clear the canvas view. So these are the methods. So one more thing we are going to do, that is whatever color user will select from this collection view, that will be passed on that controller. So for that we have to simply get the value of the selected color. So for that we have to simply use self did select item at did select this one, and in this we have to get the color, or we can simply assign the color to this canvas color. So canvas color, canvas due dot stroke color, I guess stroke color, and that color should be like items, and this is index path dot row like this. So whatever color a user will click on, that will provided to this stroke color, and that will assign to that line. So now let's run this thing and check that it is working fine or not. So after that we only left one functionality, that is save functionality, and then we will see how's the application look like. So it's completely working fine. This the default value is 1, so it's working with 1. Now let's increase the size, and as we increase the size of this pencil, or we can say that finger, is work fine. Now let's change the color. So now the color is purple, and it is completely working fine. So now let's change the color again, and again this is working fine. So we can draw, or we can do anything, something like this. Now let's check the functionalities of these button. So now let's click on this clear. So as I click on this clear, all the screen will be empty. Definitely all the screens will be empty, and this is completely working fine. The one functionality we need to test is that this undo button. So yeah, as we click on this undo, it will removing the previous draw which we have done on the screen. So now let's test this thing again like this, and just click on this undo, and it will remove the last line till, and it is not crashing. So that's why we have used that thing at that point. Now we only left, that is a download functionality. We can say that a screenshot functionality of this UI whatever we have drawn. So now let's see how we can create this functionality. So now we only need to save the drawing which we have drawn. So for that I need to create one extension of UI view, and in that extension we will create a function which is responsible for saving the image by using a UI graphics current context with options. So this is the method basically we will use to save the image. So just simply write extension, and this is of UI view type, and in this we need to create one function. So function take a screenshot like this, because we are taking a screenshot of the canvas view. So for that first we need to begin the current graphic context. So UI graphics begin context with option this one, and in this we need to pass the size. So for that we need to pass the full size of that view, that canvas view. So self.bounds dot size like this, and opaq is false. We don't want any kind of opaq. And in scaling we need to pass the UI screen scale, because it will completely with respect to the UI screen. So simply scale of UI screen. So this is the line which is responsible for creating the graphic context with the current options. Now we need to draw the thing on the so for that you need to call this method draw hierarchy, this one, and in this we need to pass the self dot bound like this, and after screen update we need to pass true. Yeah, definitely, because if the screen is not updated then the drawing will not be get correctly. So now we will get the image. So for that, let image equals to UI graphics get image from current context, this one method. So in this image parameter we will get the image. Now we need to end the graphics current context. So for that, UI graphics and image context this one. And now we need to just check that if there is a actual image is there or not. So if image is not equals to nil, this one, else we will return over here. So first we need to make this function as a returnable function so that it can return the image, UI image, this one. So in this we need simply return the image which we just checked. Else if the image is not available, then we will simply return this thing, UI image, empty object, UI image, this one. So this function is responsible for taking the screenshot of the canvas view. This is an optional value, so let me wrap this thing like this. Now we only need to save the image in the photo album or camera roll. So for that we need to move on the IP action of this saved image button. Now we need to get the image. So let image equals to canvas view dot take screenshot, this one. And now we need to write this image in the camera roll. So for that we need to use a method, that is UI image write to save photo, this album, this one. And in this we need to pass the image and completion target is self. So basically this method is taking 4 parameters. So let's see this thing on this Apple documentation, that what is this, and it is taking a 4 parameters, in which one is image, that is next is completion target, another one is completion selector, and the last one is context info. So basically these two things that we have passed, and the next thing is this completion selector. So this is taking a 3 parameters, image, did finish saving with error, and the last one is context info. So basically context info is a kind of a optional pointer which is specific to the context. So we are not passing anything, so we only need to pass this completion selector. So let's move on, and in this we need to simply pass, and this is of UI unsafe mutual raw pointer like this. And in this we need to pass the function. So we have to create one Objective-C reference function like this, and the name is like, you can give any name, image saved, like this. And this will take 3 parameters. The first is image of UI image type, and the second one is as we have seen in this method, this one, which is of error type. So this one, and this is of error type, error, like this. And the third one is context type, type, and this is of UI unsafe pointer type, unsafe pointer type, raw pointer type. So this is the method which we will call over here. So for that we need to first create a selector, this one, and in this method we will pass this function. So image saved, this one, like this. So this will completely work fine, and if there is any error, then this will throw in this, and if the image is successfully stored, then there is no error will be thrown. So let's check if let error is equals to error, else, like this. And if there is some error, print unable to into the photos. And if there is no error, then we can simply say that uh, uh, image saved into the photos, like this. So this is how we can do that. Now let's run this thing and check that it is working fine or not. And it is saying that okay, fine, we can do all this also, because we are not using that error thing over anywhere in the code. So let's run this thing and check that it is working fine or not. So let's run this thing again. So this is our canvas. Now let's draw something. It's totally up to you what you want to draw. Now let's save this thing. As I click on this save, so this is crashed because we didn't provide any photo access library access to the application. So let's move on the info.plist, and we need to provide some access so that app can use the photos. So just click on this plus button, and we need to move on the security part, privacy security, and in this we need to move on photos, photo library, additional users description, and this one. So I want to use the photo library like this, and we need to use the another one also, this one. We can copy the same thing and paste over here like this. Now let's run this thing and check that it is working fine or not. Now let's save this thing, and okay, we need to allow the permission, an image saved into the photo library. Now let's move in the photo gallery so that we can check that there is any image or not which we have created so far. So yeah, this is the image which we have created, so it's saved in the photo album. So this is how we can create a drawing application. And if you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, and if you have any query or suggestion, please post that thing in the comment box. And if you are new to the channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to get the notifications of all my other video. Meet you in the next video. Thank you.